This video is going to be all about diagnosing weird noises in your front end.
Atrocious.
And now, there are some good videos already on YouTube about this. What makes mine unique is I have all new front suspension and I still have a noise every time the wheel goes around. So if you've got something weird like that, you're not sure if it's brakes, maybe it's a wheel bearing, we're gonna dive into my car specifically, and I think this is gonna help you with yours, so stay tuned.
If you listen to the passenger side, you can hear a clunk. You hear a little scraping that's relatively normal for brakes, but you hear that clunk every time. And on the driver's side, it's arguably worse. Now, when you're in the car, it sounds atrocious. This car has some pretty trick two-piece rotors on it, and they are known to make noise. If I go in here, I can shake them and they rattle a little bit, but we don't want to just throw money at this, and those rotors are very expensive. So we're gonna take the wheel off, we're gonna spin it without the wheel, see if maybe the wheel is contacting something, see if we get the same sort of noise. If that's not the case, we'll take the rotor off, spin it again, and then we'll try and hone in on the actual wheel bearings themselves. A couple things that I noticed. One, there's a little bit of slop in these two-piece rotors themselves. We are gonna pull the caliper off, and so that way we can get a better look at the rotor, and then also with the caliper and rotor off, I can spin just the hub and see how that sounds and determine if potentially I need to look into a new wheel bearing / hub set. Got the rotor removed. Honestly, I don't see anything weird with this. If I grab it, yank it real hard, I'm not feeling any play whatsoever. So I'm inclined to think that that's okay. Now over here, again, it's a two-piece rotor, but it's kind of odd, right? Upon further inspection, what I found was at some point in time, I think some of these were replaced. You can see one is broken. The head is snapped off here. Now these are meant to move, but this is actually not the best way of doing this because these don't have any sort of anti-rattle springs. Some of the hardware is a little bit mismatched. I went online to ECS Tuning and I found that they actually make a kit that you can buy, and it comes with all the replacement parts. They already have Loctite on them, and they have these really cool anti-rattle springs. So basically here you've got 10 bolts going through here, but they've got a way where you can, and this is actually a McLaren part or McLaren design. There's instructions in here which we'll go through, but basically you can add these anti-rattle springs, which this doesn't have, to every other bolt. So you replace everything, but every other bolt will get an anti-rattle spring. And I believe that should drastically help the noise these make when they're cold on the street. Here is what the kit looks like all laid out. So these are the parts that the bolts thread into. As you can see, they're kind of like a special sleeved, I mean, I'll call it a nut, but it's not really a nut, but you get the idea. You get 10 of those. You get 5 long bolts, 5 short bolts, 10 washers of the circular style, 5 of the square, larger, thicker washers, and then 5 of the anti-rattle springs. The instructions do show you, so feel free to hit pause right there if you want to read that. Basically, the longer bolts is because it has to go through the anti-rattle spring and then the larger square washer before going into the nut. And then the small ones will just be just kind of like these are. And you go every other one. So for sure, we had to address this because one was broken, but I'm really hoping when you tighten this all down, and the torque spec, by the way, is only 62 inch-pounds, so you need an inch-pound torque wrench. But I'm hoping this will solve part of my shaky, noisy problem. First thing I recommend, make sure you soak those fasteners in some sort of penetrating oil. And then if you're worried, go ahead and by hand with an Allen wrench, remove all those. Once those are removed, you can pop the rotor off the hat. And then you see me just kind of cleaning it up here, knocking all the little specialized nuts loose and then reinstalling the new ones. There is an orientation with everything, so just make sure it goes back on the same way that it came off, and then follow that instruction sheet to make sure you put the long bolts in the right spot, the short bolts in the right spot, the washers, the spacers, the anti-rattle springs, everything in the right location, and then tighten it back up to 62 inch-pounds.
Okay, let's do a comparison. See, that sounds fantastic. I can hear a very slight drag of the pads on the rotor, but I don't hear any clicking noises like we did before. Heck yeah. Car's back on the ground. We have not taken it for a test drive yet. If you want to watch another short I did, just check out on my channel in the shorts. I did go ahead and replace the hub as well. The only reason I did that is because this would literally be the last piece of the front suspension that's not brand new. And Ford Racing actually sells a custom, we'll call it, heavy duty maybe is a better word, hub assembly for these cars. It comes with ARP studs and it's kind of beefed up. So I did go ahead and install those, but I think that had nothing to do with the noise. So the next step will just be to go out and test drive it. But after spinning that wheel like that and not hearing any noise, I think that pretty much solves everything. Like I said, there's tons of other videos out there if you've got weird noises that aren't specific to your wheel or brakes making a revolution, but I didn't see a video like that specifically addressed that issue. And there's not a lot of people out there with those custom two-piece rotors, but for those who are, I think this will be helpful. So we'll get this back there on the road. I just ordered some new drift spares for the rear, and in about 2 weeks, we've got a drift event coming up. So you will see this back on the track. Hope this helps. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can see tons more tips like this and driving videos and all kinds of different stuff on my channel, Truck and Roll. See you guys next time.